man walking along a California beach was deep in prayer. All of a sudden, he said out loud, "Lord, grant me one wish." The sunny California sky clouded above his head, and in a booming voice, and the Lord said, "Because you have tried to be faithful to me in all ways, I will grant you one wish." The man said, "Build a bridge to Hawaii so I can drive over any time I want." The Lord said, "Your request is very materialistic. Think of the enormous challenges for that kind of undertaking. The supports required to reach the bottom of the Pacific. The concrete and steel it would take over thousands of miles. I can do it, but it is hard for me to justify your desire for worldly things. Take a little more time and think of another wish. A wish you think would honor and glorify me." The man thought about it for a long time. Finally, he said, "Lord, I wish that I could understand women. I want to know how they feel inside, what they are thinking when they give the silent treatment, why they cry, what they mean when they say nothing, and how I can make a woman truly happy." The Lord replied, "You want 2 lanes or 4 lanes on that bridge?"
I knew that was coming!
After 30 years of marriage, a husband and wife go for counseling. When asked about the problem, the wife launches into a passionate tirade, recounting every issue they've ever faced throughout their years of marriage. On and on she goes. Neglect, lack of intimacy, feeling empty, feeling lonely, feeling unloved, a whole laundry list of needs that have not been met. Finally, after allowing this to go on for a while, the therapist stands up from his desk. He asks the wife to stand up as well and walks to her. He embraces her and then kisses her long and passionately. The husband watches with a raised eyebrow. The wife shuts up and quietly sits down as though in a daze. The therapist turns to the husband and says, "This is what your wife needs at least 3 times a week. Can you do this?" The husband says, "Well, I can drop her off on Mondays and Wednesdays, but on Fridays I fish." This guy is dining alone in a fancy restaurant, and there's a beautiful redhead sitting at the next table. He's been sneakily checking her out ever since he arrived, but doesn't have the courage to start talking to her. Suddenly she sneezes, and her glass eye comes flying out of its socket toward the man. His reflexes kick in, and he reaches out, plucks it out of the air, and hands it back to her. The redhead is mortified. "Oh my, I am so sorry," she says, as she pops her eye back into place. "Let me buy your dinner to make it up to you." So he joins her table, and they enjoy a wonderful meal together. Afterwards, they go to the theater, followed by drinks at a bar. They talk, they laugh. She shares her deepest dreams, and he shares his. She listens. After paying for everything, she asks him if he would like to come to her place for a nightcap. He says yes, and they return to her place. He ends up staying the night. The next morning, she cooks a gourmet meal with all the trimmings. The guy is amazed at how everything has been so perfect and how incredible this woman is. He can't believe his luck. "You know," he said, "you are the perfect woman. Are you this nice to every guy you meet?" "No," she replies. "You just happen to catch my eye."
Oh my God.
A man was playing golf with his wife and was having the round of his life. On the 18th, he said, "Honey, all I have to do is par this hole, and I will break 80 for the first time in my life. Wish me luck." He steps up to the tee and immediately slices a long drive into the trees. Walking up to the ball, he sees a slight gap between the trees to the pin. His wife says, "You'll never make that. Just play a safe out or take the penalty and a drop." The husband looks and decides to go for it. He takes a mighty swing. The ball bounces off a tree and hits his wife on the head. She sadly passes away. 2 years later, he's playing the same course with a friend. On the same 18th hole, his friend hits a slice into the trees. As the two of them walk up to the ball, he says, "Can I offer you some advice?" "Sure." 2 years ago, I was here in about the same position, and I decided to go for the pin. It was a disastrous decision I will regret for the rest of my life." "Oh my God, what happened?" his friend replied. "I bogeyed the hole." Old friends were just about to tee off at the first hole of their local golf course when a guy carrying a golf bag called out to them, "Do you mind if I join you? My partner didn't turn up." "Sure," they said. "You're welcome." So they started playing and enjoyed the game and the company of the newcomer. Partway around the course, one of the friends asked the newcomer, "What do you do for a living?" "I'm a hitman," was the reply. "You're joking," was the response. "No, I'm not," he said, reaching into his golf bag and pulling out a beautiful Martini sniper's rifle with a large telescopic sight. "Here are my tools." "That's a beautiful telescopic sight," said the other friend. "Can I take a look? I think I might be able to see my house from here." So he picked up the rifle and looked through the sight in the direction of his house. "Yeah, I can see my house all right. This sight is fantastic. I can see right in the window. Wow! I can see my wife in the bedroom. Ha ha! I can see she's... Wait a minute. That's my neighbor in there with her. He's... He turned to the hitman. "How much do you charge for a hit?" "I'll do a flat rate for you, $1,000 every time I pull the trigger." "Can you do 2 for me now?" "Sure, what do you want?" "First, shoot my wife. She's always been mouthy, so shoot her in the mouth. Then the neighbor. He's a friend of mine, so just shoot his off to teach him a lesson." The hitman took the rifle and took aim, standing perfectly still for a few minutes. "Are you going to do it or not?" said the friend impatiently. "Just be patient," said the hitman calmly. "I think I can save you $1,000 here." It was getting crowded in heaven one day, so St. Peter decided for one day to only accept people who could make him laugh. A man came walking up to the pearly gates, and St. Peter said to him, "All right, bud, you're only getting in today if you can make me laugh, so why don't you tell me about how you died?" The man looked at St. Peter and said, "Oh man, it was awful. I was absolutely sure my wife was having an affair, so I left work early and came home to catch her in the act. When I got home, sure as there she was naked in bed. I looked all over the apartment, but I couldn't find the guy anywhere, so I went out onto the balcony. We live on the 25th floor, and there he was, hanging over the edge by his fingertips. I ran inside, grabbed a hammer, and started smacking his hands and fingers with it. He finally let go and fell down 25 stories, but he landed in some bushes, so I ran inside and grabbed the refrigerator and heaved it over the balcony down on top of him, crushing him and killing him. But the strain and exertion from picking up the refrigerator gave me a heart attack, and I died." St. Peter let out a faint chuckle, and since it was a crime of passion, he decided to let this poor soul in. Another man came walking up to the pearly gates, and St. Peter told this man the same thing, that in order to get in, he had to make St. Peter laugh. The second guy told him about how he died. "Well, St. Peter, it was awful. I was doing aerobics on the balcony of my 26th-story apartment when a flock of birds came out of nowhere and startled me. I fell over the railing but managed to grab the balcony of the apartment below me. All of a sudden, some maniac came outside and started hitting my hands with a hammer until I let go. Luckily, I landed in some bushes, but then this guy dropped a refrigerator on me." St. Peter chuckled again, let the second man into heaven, and decided he could really start to enjoy his job. A third man came walking up to the pearly gates. St. Peter gave his speech to this third man and then told him, "Tell me about the day you died." "Oh man, St. Peter, you're never going to believe this. All right, so picture this. I'm butt naked hiding in a refrigerator.